forward and talk to you about the work in Honduras and other things too, I'm sure.
Greg, I talked to Greg. I was going to do this in Spanish, but maybe I should stick with English. And Gary Guida, where's Gary? When I came in this morning, I had similar thoughts when I saw the blaze orange, but my thoughts were a little different than yours. I was hoping it was opening deer season or opening fishing because every guy here would be gone and there'd be less people to talk to. So anyway, well, good morning, and welcome to Honduras Sunday. You're going to see a little different service this morning, as you probably already noticed. I'm going to do a little talking about what we do in Honduras and what the mission's all about. We're going to have a little slideshow, and then we're going to have a little skit showing you what a day in Honduras is all about. And I had nothing to do with the skit. So I want to thank Pastor Mike for giving us this time to update the congregation on our mission in Honduras. And I really need to stop right now and thank Mary Ellen and Al back in the control booth, because we kind of dumped all this on them this morning about 15 minutes ago. So if there's a blip anywhere, it's us. It's our fault. We bring you greetings from the people of Honduras. Bring you greetings from Randy Herring, the missionary that runs and operates Kids Ark. You may notice I'm going to be saying we and our and us a lot this morning, because you are all very much involved in our trips to Honduras. The outreach of this congregation is truly phenomenal. From cutting and sewing diapers to quilting to the food shelf to the soup kitchen to our volunteers at Salem West, our delivery people, our volunteers at the Mustard Seed, the jail ministry, Teen Challenge, Legos, all the committees that you serve on. It's all outreach, and it's what makes Salem so very special. For those of us that are able to go to Honduras, I want you to know we think about you guys every single day. We appreciate your prayers and all that you do for us. The question is it enough, what we do? Pastor Mike asked me the other day if I had a title for my talk today, and I responded, I thought Luke 12, verse 48 was very, very fitting. To whom much has been given, much will be expected. And we are all so truly, truly blessed. What is our mission in Honduras? I think everyone knows we support a mission and a missionary. The mission is Kids Ark International. The missionary is Randy Herring. The week that we were there, we had between 400 and 500 children attend the camp. Now just do the simple math in your head. If that was every single week of the year, that's close to 30,000 children. They get introduced and learn more about Jesus Christ. It's an awesome, awesome mission. So what is Kids Ark International? I'm going to try to explain it to you. It's VBS on steroids. Who's been to VBS here? Who's seen it? Okay? It's a lot of Christian music, dancing, instruction, all in the name of Jesus. It's also an amusement park where there's a lot of different activities, from hula hoops and a bouncy house, an obstacle course. If I can turn my notes here, it will help. There's many other fun activities as well. It's also a carnival where children can play beanbag toss and win a prize. Most important, it's also a living Bible. We have a Jewish synagogue, we have the manger scene, we have a whipping post, we have the woman at the well, excuse me, we have Christ calming the waters, we have Jesus feeding the 5,000, we have the Last Supper, we have the crucifixion, and we have the tomb. As part of their day, every child, as they go around to the different stations, also gets instruction at each individual Bible scene. I guess she's showing the slideshow. As you can see, as we go through these, this is when the Jesus calming the waters was being built. This is the Last Supper. This is a lot of Hondurans go to work every day. Sometimes we'll see 30 to 40 people in the back of a pickup truck going to one of two jobs typically, working in the mines or doing this. You know what that is? It's coffee. They pick coffee. Those are kind of the two main jobs that people have there. You can go to the next one. One day we were there, the local police stopped by just to visit the camp, and they had as much fun, I think, as the kids did. This is Greg and I and a lady by the name of Melanie from Arkansas. We're making breakfast. In the background is Byron. He's a Honduran gentleman that comes over and helps us every time that we're there. This picture really doesn't do it justice. These are carrots, but they're almost the size of my arm. I mean, they're the vegetables down there are phenomenal. We get pineapple that's picked the day before we buy it in the little market, and it is so good. This is two Italian chefs. Randy Herring is, stop just a minute. Randy Herring's in the middle there. Randy's an Italian, and he thinks he knows how to cook. But as you could see in the picture back there with Greg and I in our Italian hats, Randy wasn't very happy that day because everybody wanted their picture taken with Greg and I and not him. So, continue, Mary Ellen. This is Randy. Oh, if you go back one, please. This is Randy in the middle. To his right is his daughter and her boyfriend. To his left is a little boy by the name of Marcos. I'm going to tell a story about Marcos in a few minutes. The other lady I know pretty well. So if you go to the next one, and the next one. This is a little hamlet or a village out in the countryside of Honduras. The building behind is their church. The church is one of the nicer buildings in the area. They live in some pretty basic housing situations. They do have a school in their little area, and these are school children. Randy's church in Lakeland, Florida, donated backpacks, so there'd be a backpack for every child there to take their school supplies to school, and they're lined up here waiting for them. This is one of the feeding stations that we go to where children can come and have a meal for the day. This is back at the camp. This is one of the lunches that we made for the children. This is inside a building that we call the cafeteria, but it's really not so much a cafeteria as it is an auditorium. This is where Noreen and Manny and Osias do their a lot of the singing, VBS style type stuff. These are some of the children. I have to stop just for a minute. When the Honduran choir was up here, did anybody notice who the two true Lutherans were? Some are shaking their head, yes. Who? Huh? Bruce and Lynn. You know why they were the true Lutherans? They were standing like this while everybody else was going like this. One day, several years ago, Greg and I were standing at the door to the auditorium where these children were, and they're all doing the clapping. One little boy is up in the front with his hands in his pockets. And I nudge Greg and I say, "See the true Lutheran?" If you go ahead, Mary Ellen. This is, when I mentioned it's a carnival, this is the little hut that we do, beanbag toss in where the children, even if they don't get the beanbag in the hole, they still get a prize. This is one of the obstacle courses where the kids run. They kind of do, what do you call it, when you jump from hoop to hoop to hoop. They run across the bench and then they get a little wrist bracelet when they're done. These are just, if you go to the next one, it's probably a little better. This is, in the very beginning, you heard Noreen say they get together in a circle, and this is Hosias in the middle. He's not an ordained minister, but neither were the 12 disciples. He is a Honduran gentleman that helps Randy at the camp and does a lot of the religious instruction. He also preaches at their local churches. Just another one of the children. Here they have a parachute type thing where they're throwing balls up in the air. This is the crucifixion. There's a picture here in a minute, I think, that shows them a little bit better, but what a great spot for, these crosses are up high on a hill. Those crosses weigh 2,300 pounds apiece, and we built them on the whipping post down low and had to carry them up the side of this mountain, and Cecil and I built the supports for them, but it's a great spot for Bible study and devotions. Some of the kids. Notice something very different or very similar about the kids. They all smile the same way that we do. There's the inside of the beanbag toss and two of our participants. That doesn't look really very good on the screen, but that's inside the bouncy house. The kids love the bouncy house. Here is a piñata where the kids, at the end of the day, we have a piñata where they bang it open and all get the candy. This is Manny and Noreen doing their singing. This is, I think 8 years ago when I first went to Honduras, this was the kitchen that Greg and I cooked out of. You see the stove out front, the 55-gallon barrel cut in half with charcoal. No electricity, no running water, but we were able to feed all the workers that were there. This is our new kitchen and meeting room. This was our project this year. There's a fireplace in it. Here's Cecil up on top with Randy laying some brick. Go to the next one. Here's the inside. You see myself and Cecil making sure that Randy does it right. Randy is a professional mason. And there it is. It's done. We have our first fire in it. The very next day, or was it the same? I think it was the same morning. If you go to the next picture, we had a group of Honduran families there, and we actually were able to have church inside this new structure. So it's really going to be great. This is a lady by the name of Yolanda who, her and her husband run a feeding station. I'm going to talk about her husband in just a minute. This is Randy roasting marshmallows. It's hard to believe, but most of these Honduran people had never had a roasted marshmallow before. So it was quite a treat for them. They kind of took it in their hand like a lot of our grandkids will, and they kind of go, do I really want to do this or not? Well, once they put it in their mouth, they had a huge smile and really liked it. This is our team this year. Diane and Deborah putting a bracelet on one of the kids after the obstacle course. Noreen teaching Ricardo how to play the keyboard. There's Randy and his, we're making pizza that day, and he was cooking the pizza. That's Manny and Noreen, of course. Carol with a little Honduran baby. And this is we have a deacon that I kind of call the Pied Piper of Honduras. Whenever Greg is around, there are lots of dogs. And this is his favorite, Papito, who has been around for way more than I ever thought he would have survived. But anyway, there's Gary and a little Honduran girl. This is when we arrive at the airport, we all bring a suitcase full of school supplies and clothes and different articles that people might want. That's it? Okay. Could you go to the picture of Denny? You had it on the other screen. I didn't see it this time through. I want to tell you two stories. Remember Yolanda? I talked about her and her husband. They run a feeding station. Well, Denny, I'm going to tell you his story to the best that I know, because I don't know all the details and I don't need to know them, but I want to share with you what I do know. When Denny was in his late teens or early 20s, he was attempting a desperate attempt to get to the United States. At some point, He either fell or was pushed out of the train, and the train ran over his legs, and his legs were cut off just slightly below his knees. He was devastated and ready to give up when God intervened, and Denny felt God had a purpose for him. Somewhere along the way, he met his wife, Yolanda. They now have a 2-year-old little boy. Sometime after his accident, he was fitted with some prosthetics in Honduras, but they were not really correct for him. Denny and Yolanda have found what God wanted them to do, and they now run what I call a feeding station, where they feed any child that shows up at their door, probably 40 to 60 children a day. During one of our trips, Denny and Yolanda came out to the camp to tell his story. During his story, we learned that his stumps were so painful due to not fitting properly that he only wore them in public. When he was at home with his family, he crawled on his hands and knees on a concrete floor. You can imagine what that did to his knees. It just made him worse. Some of the members of the team were so moved that they came home and contacted a local company here in Minnesota which makes prosthetics. With Greg and Randy's help, we were able to obtain pictures of his legs along with new molds, and we came up with a way that we could attach his prosthetics in a way that they would be more comfortable for him. And I'm happy to say he can now wear them all the time. He has no pain from them whatsoever. That's Denny. Thank you for finding it. That's Denny and his little boy. The other story I want to tell is about Marcos. This is Marcos right here. He's a little Honduran boy. It's a sad story with what we pray will be a happy and blessed ending. In Central America, many cities have squares in different locations throughout their towns. They're typically what we would think of as like 2-block square. In these squares, there's typically a fountain, maybe a gazebo or a stage. It's a place for people to gather. San Pedro Sula is the city that we fly into in Honduras, and it has squares like this. One day, Randy was driving by a square and saw a little boy all alone drinking water out of the fountain. You can imagine what the water would be like in a public square, in a fountain. He circled the square twice, and the little guy was still there. So he found a place to park and approached the boy. Randy asked him what he was doing, and of course the boy said, "Ain't doing nothing, mister." Randy asked him why he was drinking the water. "I thirsty." Randy asked him, "Where is your mother and father?" To which the boy answered, "Father dead, mother a witch." Randy asked him what did he mean by saying his mother was a witch. "She kicked me out and said if I returned, she would kill me." This is a sad story, but it's not that unusual in Honduras. Some people are so poor, they don't have enough to feed themselves. So what they do is they kick their kids out and make them fend for themselves. Randy then took Marcos to the local police station, presented the police, Randy did, with his passport, told him who he was, told him that he ran a mission camp out by Peña Blanca, and that he was going to take the boy with him and would return in a couple of days and try to find a foster home for him. He then called his wife and told her what was happening. You know, in today's world, you have to be extremely careful what you do when you're taking a child into your custody. 2 days later, so Randy took the boy out to the camp. They spent a couple of days out there. And 2 days later, Randy brought Marcos back from the camp and placed him with some foster people. Randy then returned to the camp 69 miles away. A couple of days later, Randy was sitting by the kitchen, and he looked up and saw someone walking into the camp. You guessed it, Marcos. The family that was supposed to love and feed and take care of him, instead they beat him. And he walked 69 miles from San Pedro Sula out to the camp. Part of Randy's mission in Honduras is not just a camp, it's taking care of the Honduran people. And he does a lot of work with Teen Challenge in San Pedro Sula. He does enough work there that he took Marcos there And I'm happy to say that Teen Challenge in San Pedro Sula is going to be raising Marcos. So the mission that we support in kids is a kids camp, but it's also so much more. How does Kids Ark support itself? For those of us that have grown up in America, running American businesses, we wouldn't really understand the business plan of Kids Ark. It's not to make money. Most of the people that come to the camp, those 20 to 30,000 kids a year, can't afford to pay to come. So the only way that camp operates is through congregations like ours throughout the country, by individuals that pledge monthly support or annual support to the camp. And if you are interested in doing something like that, I'm sure if you talk to Greg, he would help you along that path. So again, I say, to whom much is given, much will be expected. With all my heart and soul, I hope and pray that Salem never says we have done enough. Amen. We're now going to do... Thank you. We're now going to give you a typical day in Honduras, and I have to use my phone for this, so just bear with me for a second. Are they ready? They aren't ready. Any questions about Kids Ark while they're getting set up? No? Here they come. Oh, good morning. Today we are going to share a typical day in Honduras for our mission teams. Our day begins between 6:30 and 7:30 when we pile into a van and head out to the camp on roads that are filled with speed bumps, potholes, hairpin turns, washouts, traffic jams created by cattle on the road. We enter our van coming up a side, that's what they're doing. It's not unusual for the wheels to fall off the bus either. I have to tell you, my wife is the designer of this bus that they're driving in. I hope she keeps her regular job because I know how much money she's going to make as a... Then they fit. After breakfast, we have devotions, and I think there's a video.
Oh, is this our devotion? Part of it was...
the gifts we share is the ability to have fun. Then the kids arrive and the fun begins.
And now this is the second video, please.
Okay, listo. Manema. Mamuska. Un paso al frente, un paso al frente, un paso al frente. Ya. Pegadito, pegadito. Okay. Manema. Mamuska. Manema. Mamuska.
Look at your dad. Whoa, whoa. Oh, one for me. Oh, look at that.
No, thank you. No, thank you, Gary.
Put your hands on the stool. Jump across.
Want to come and try beanbags? Don't have to be a kid.
What am I doing? Getting it through here. We're gonna straighten that out here a little bit.
Let's make it hard for her.
Should I get a sucker?
Get a sucker.
Okay.
Do one at a time, okay? Try one at a time. All right.
I need a sucker.
Oh, try again, try again.
You can do it again. You can do it again.
While they're doing that, I just want to continue here. The kids spend half their time at Bible scenes learning about Jesus' birth by the nativity. They go to Jesus where he calms the storm and the woman at the well. They climb the hill to the crosses and then learn about Jesus' death on the cross and onto the tomb to hear about the resurrection. The rest of their time, they play games, go to the bouncy house, and try to win prizes in the beanbag toss booth. When the children finish the games, it's time for lunch, and then on to music with Noreen and Manny. Are we going to sing a couple songs, Noreen? Okay. After the music, the kids break a piñata, which we're not going to do this morning, and the kids get to head home.
Okay.
Okay, some of you saw this one last Sunday. I didn't know we were doing it again, but we're going to do it differently. Last time we had you stomping and clapping on the back feet like that. And we still will start that way. But then Diane walked in one day when Nancy and I were practicing, and she goes, "What are you doing with the margarita?" And we thought, "What?" And she said, "It fits perfectly." So we would end some of our things doing that. So we're all going to be up.
And we're going to ask everybody to stand up for this.
And all that, he's going to introduce the margarita.
We're going to practice once, and if you don't have it perfectly, this is Honduras. Nothing is perfect in Honduras. So we're going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
I'm gonna follow.
We're gonna start, we'll stop first, we'll listen to what they say, and we're doing it in English for you. Otherwise, we'll do it in Spanish.
You guys stomp your feet like that? Now let's clap together. That's it. Keep it going. Let's sing this little light of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All right, keep clapping now. Sounds good? Ha. Everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Yes, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, that sounds so good. That's called clapping on the backbeat. All right, sing this real quiet with me now. Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Yes, even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I just want, everybody notice that Don doesn't do it down there in Honduras either. He's too cool.
The next one is, these are Bible school, by the way, we do them up here, only down there we do them in Spanish. But this one is, let's get a little crazy, and you'll be moving to the left, and then we'll be moving to the right, and then find someone you don't know and give them a high five. And that's basically, the whole thing, so. And we can't go right and left, we have to go left and right, because we're not, otherwise they'll all be bumping. So, run people do opposites, here we go. Whew. It'll be up, so here we go. You wanna say our red and blues? Oh, my bad.
Come on, clap your hands. Here we go. That's it.